Firion's Trustmaster reward, Thorns of the Rose, is a materia that boosts your unit's attack by 60% if they're holding a bow, and by 30% for a sword, axe, and spear. Unfortunately, we don't have any good one-handed bows, but maybe Gumi will somehow forget about that down the line. Well, one can hope. His Super Trustmaster reward is his bow. It'll boost your unit's limit burst damage, grant a bird killer, and boost their equipment attack if they're holding a single weapon. It's an excellent bow, but at the same time, it's a bow. There aren't that many characters who want one. Well, I guess Firion here might. Onto his active abilities. Braver Cracker is a stupid name. It'll let Firion demolish break bars with a sword or a bow. Sword Fighter sounds like a passive, but it's a Stardust Ray Brave ability that fills up his limit burst gauge by a little more than 1/5 of its max capacity. Arms Release is a Stardust Ray attack that enables 5 different skills. Striking Lance, a single hit which partially ignores the enemy's defense. Leading Axe, a single hit that inflicts a damage over time hit on the enemy. Seizing Knife, an absolute mirror of equity attack that boosts Firion's limit burst gauge fill rate. Grand Fist, a Stardust Ray attack that restores a portion of Firion's HP and MP. And Bashing Shield, a single hit that can inflict paralysis. Overall, they're all rather niche, though some of them, like Seizing Knife, might be useful. Rising Winds of Fynn, who on earth is Fynn, is a Stardust Ray attack that lets Firion deal wind damage. Falling Winds of Fynn, seriously, who is Fynn, is another Stardust Ray attack that lowers the enemy's wind resistance by 120%. Blood Weapon is a Stardust Ray Brave ability that restores a portion of your team's HP. Let's look at his cooldowns. The Watchword will boost Firion's attack by 300%, and lets the rest of your team use Wild Rose. Wild Rose is a bolting strike attack that fills up your team's limit burst gauge by a small amount. It's a handy chaining ability that can help your team set up a chain for a finisher. Fynn Briar II, wait, there are 2 Finns, is a Stardust Ray attack that boosts Firion's limit burst gauge fill rate. He has one grand disability. Anti-Beast Stance can be used twice. It grants a powerful beast killer to Firion and doesn't do anything else. Well, passives. He has a weak killer against demons, humans, plants, and stone monsters, and a powerful beast killer. As you can see, he has a good boost to his limit burst gauge fill rate. With his Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equipped, he'll gain an incredible amount of killers against practically everything. Aquatic monsters aren't here, wonder if there's some kind of lore. If you want to build him, it's best if you let him dual wield in this form. Swords and greatswords are excellent picks, thanks to one of his passives here. He can also equip everything but heavy armor, so you definitely have a lot of options. Finally, let's look at his limit burst. Lord of Arms is a powerful attack that enables the same abilities as Arms Release and increases the damage modifier of his other attacks. Now to, get a complete makeover. Really, the only thing that stays the same are his weapons. Anyways, his Brave Shift is available from turn 1 and it doesn't have a turn duration. Let's get to his active abilities. Evil Piercing Arrow isn't an attack, it's a light imbue and a 120% light imperil. Rebellion Against the Empire is a brave ability that deals a single hit, and increases the damage modifier of Wild Rose, Sword Fighter, itself, and Critical Impact. He's received a new cooldown ability, Critical Impact, which is a single strong hit. Foul Felling Shot is a fancy way to say shoot down a bird. It'll give Firion a powerful avian killer and boost his limit burst damage. Speaking of which, his Limit Burst is an incredibly powerful attack that grants Firion a bird killer. That looks like it's going to replace the buff from Foul Felling Shot, so keep that in mind. Anyways, passives. He now prefers to hunt birds, though he's definitely a solid pick against any other species unfortunate enough to meet his gaze. If you want to build him, just do it the same way as you would the first form. If you've gotten his Super Trustmaster reward, you could also give that to him and make him more of a Limit Burst damage finisher instead. So which brave ability should you prioritize? I'd recommend Blood Weapon, Rebellion Against the Empire, and Sword Fighter, in descending order according to their strength. Well, let's make a damage rotation. On turn 1, call on Fynn's Wind and use Blood Weapon to finish the chain. On turn 2, use the Watchword, Fynn Briar II, and Blood Weapon. On turn 3, cast his Limit Burst if it's available. If not, just triple cast Blood Weapon. And now we're done. Cast Fynn Briar II every other turn, and recast the Winds and the Watchword and his Limit Burst when necessary. Blood Weapon is one of his strongest attacks, so go ahead and use it whenever you don't need to cast anything else. Don't forget to cast Anti-Beast Stance if you need to. So what about his Brave Shift? Well, assuming the first one is dual wielding, it'll be a stronger pick overall. If you prefer the light attacks, then you'll be glad to know that the rotation's almost the same. Just switch his elemental attacks and use Rebellion Against the Empire instead of Blood Weapon. This form's a bit more of a finisher though, so keep that in mind. Neo Vision Firion is an incredibly powerful character, especially when he can take full advantage of his killer buffs. The Watchword is an interesting ability that lets the rest of your team use a boating strike attack, though it's a bit sad that most units can't multicast it. Well, it's nevertheless useful when you apply it, so it's certainly not a flaw. You know what would make Firion's popularity explode? A safety net. If he had the ability to self-imbue many different killer buffs like Regina or Rising Phoenix Jake. That would be an incredible pair of masterminds on.